It was a quiet night, calm, ordinary, almost forgettable. A massive aircraft stood silently on the runway, its engines softly humming beneath the dark sky. Nothing seemed unusual, nothing felt wrong. But within a few hours, this routine flight would become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in aviation history. Passengers slowly stepped into the aircraft, some tired, some hopeful, some completely unaware. Families sat together, strangers shared silent moments. On board, there were 239 people, each with a story, each with a destination. None of them knew this journey would never reach its end. At exactly 12:41 a.m., Flight MH370 lifted into the night sky. The glowing city lights slowly disappeared beneath it, as the aircraft climbed higher into darkness. Everything was perfectly normal. No alarms, no warnings. Just another routine flight, vanishing into the silent sky. Inside the cockpit, everything appeared completely under control. The pilots monitored their instruments carefully, calm, experienced, focused. The systems were stable, the route was clear. There was no sign of danger, no indication that anything unusual was about to happen. At around 1:19 a.m., the aircraft sent its final message. Calm, routine, almost forgettable. Good night. Malaysian 370. No panic, no urgency. Just a normal transmission. But no one knew, these would become the last confirmed words ever heard from that flight. The aircraft continued toward Vietnamese airspace, exactly as planned. Below, the ocean stretched endlessly into darkness. Above, nothing but silence. Everything seemed routine. But somewhere along this path, something changed, something invisible, something deeply unsettling. At around 1:21 a.m., the signal began to behave strangely. It flickered, unstable, as if something was interfering. Controllers watched closely, confused. This wasn't normal. And then, the aircraft started doing something no one could explain. Without warning, the aircraft made a sharp and deliberate turn. Not a small correction, but a complete change in direction. It moved away from its assigned route, silently, mysteriously. And no explanation, no communication, was ever given. Air traffic control tried calling the aircraft again, and again, and again. Each attempt met with the same result, nothing. No voice, no signal, no response. Just silence. A heavy, unnatural silence, that began to feel deeply disturbing. Then, military radar revealed something shocking. The aircraft was still in the air, still flying, but completely off course. It had turned back, moving in the opposite direction. As if someone, or something, had taken control, and changed everything. The aircraft crossed back over Malaysia, silently, without a single transmission. No one on board responded. No signal was sent. It was as if the plane had become invisible, yet it was still there, moving through the darkness like a ghost in the sky. And then, suddenly, it was gone. The signal disappeared completely. No radar, no communication, no trace. A massive aircraft, carrying 239 people, had vanished. Just like that. Into nothing. By morning, the news spread across the world. Flight MH370 was missing. Media channels erupted with breaking updates. Experts were called in. Questions began to rise. But no one had answers. A modern aircraft had simply disappeared. At the airport, families waited in growing fear. Some stared at their phones, others held on to hope. Faces filled with confusion, anxiety, disbelief. They expected arrivals, but received silence. Officials tried to explain, but their answers kept changing. One report contradicted another. Timelines shifted. Details blurred. Instead of clarity, there was confusion. And with every update, the mystery only grew deeper. Search operations began immediately. Aircraft scanned the skies, ships moved across endless waters. Every effort was made to find even the smallest clue. But the ocean revealed nothing. Then came a shocking discovery. Satellite data suggested the aircraft had continued flying, for hours, long after it disappeared from radar. This wasn't a sudden crash. This was something far more disturbing. Investigators began calling it a ghost flight. A plane, flying silently, with no communication, no control signals. Just drifting through the sky, until its fuel ran out. But who was controlling it? Attention shifted to the Indian Ocean, one of the most remote places on Earth. Vast, deep, unforgiving. If the aircraft had gone down here, finding it would be nearly impossible. Day after day, search teams scanned the ocean. Miles of water, endless waves, nothing. No wreckage. No signals. No answers. Just silence. As days passed, reality began to sink in. This was no delay. Something far more serious had happened. Families sat in silence, hoping for answers, but slowly losing hope. Tears replaced hope. Loved ones broke down, unable to process what was happening. Every call brought hope, and every silence destroyed it. Weeks turned into months, and months into years. Yet still, nothing. No confirmed answers. Just endless searching, and growing silence. More than a year later, in July 2015, a piece of the aircraft was found. A broken wing fragment, washed ashore. It confirmed the worst. The plane had crashed. But the main wreckage was still missing. One theory pointed toward the pilot. Could this have been intentional? A planned act, hidden behind normal behavior? But nothing was ever proven. Another theory suggested hijacking. Unknown individuals taking control mid-flight. But no group claimed responsibility. No demands were made. Some believed the truth was being hidden. A cover-up. Missing data, delayed reports, unanswered questions. Was something kept from the world? Investigations continued across countries, across years. Experts analyzed everything. But instead of answers, they found more questions. Years have passed, but for the families, time never truly moved on. They are still waiting, still hoping, still searching for answers that never came. Empty chairs remain untouched. Rooms stay silent. Conversations that were never finished, still echo in absence. A space that can never be filled. MH370 is now one of the greatest mysteries in modern aviation. A disappearance so complete, that even advanced technology could not solve it. 239 people, gone without a trace. No final message. No clear ending. Just silence. And one haunting question, was this an accident, or a truth, the world was never meant to know?